Buenos días.
Okay. I came from Anchorage.
Anchorage, oh,
Anchorage.
wonderful. Where are you going?
To South America.
The idea was born simple as usual. Maybe 16 years ago, a young man from Bolivia visited me and was talking in a very colorful style about his trip made from Alaska to Tierra del Fuego on a classical bike. He put a bug in my head, but this bug was sleeping because I was economically active and I had no time to work this idea. When I retired in 2021, I decided now or never. I am a man, as usually told, with a wheel under the boot. So I always look for some chance to travel. I had a really high support from my daughter and her family, the support from my friends. And I was sharing my story day by day on the Facebook, so followers grew up very rapidly, and I got a really huge support from strangers from around the world. I was so strong and it was so nice that it never happened that I got an idea to give up the trip.
Hola, buen día. Gracias. Okay.
The preparation took about half a year. I decided to use an e-bike because the e-bike gave me a chance to complete the trip within less than 1 year. I had 4 bags in my bike. In one bag I had clothing, in the second one I had equipment for sleeping, in the third one I had food, usually for 5 to 7 days, and in the 4 I had equipment for repairing the bike, spare parts, and all necessary things for nearly 1 year life outside of home. The bicycle alone had a weight about 40 kilograms. All my stuff was the next 40 kilograms, and myself, I weighted 85 kilograms. This huge monster completely weighs it about 160, 170 kilograms. I had 4 flags on my bike. Those flags were not just very attractive, but also they were great safety elements. They were flying behind me, and all the camion drivers and the lorry drivers and common people on the roads were greeting me, and it was really very nice and very safety. Sometimes I push my ability to the edge. Usually it was in a very hard wind conditions. Yes, of course, I had an e-bike. It should be very easy to lift up the assistance and go ahead. But no, I had to calculate with my power. When I realized that I have in front of me 150 kilometers, so I had to save the energy. So many times I was riding on the hardest gear and in the speed of about 6 kilometers per hour, and I was pushing the pedals hard as it is unbelievable. The day distance depended on conditions. When the wind blows to my face, I was not able to ride more than 100 kilometers, of course. But sometimes there were good conditions, as for example, once in Argentina that all day long I had a tailwind and pushed me ahead. And this day I did 234 kilometers. I got flat tire more than 20 times, mostly in the United States, because in the United States the roadside are the most dirty. The lorry drivers, when they get a puncture, they don't stop. They are driving until the tires is completely broken. And the pieces of the tire are really dangerous for bikers. In tropical countries, I had rain every day more than 3 months. But usually the rain starts at 11. When I start my trip at 5 o'clock, so at 11 I was nearly close to the end of my day section. Everywhere when I stopped along the road, I asked the staff to charge my batteries. I had no problem with this. It was no problem. The only country where they asked me for a little money was Bolivia. But Bolivia was probably the poorest country I crossed.
Buenas tardes.
I tried to avoid big cities, but it was impossible with two cities as Managua and Lima in Peru. Crossing Lima was probably the most dangerous part of my trip. I felt like a little beetle between the buses and lorries. They were not following the traffic rules, and this 50 kilometers section was the most critical part of my journey. I fell in love with Colombia. The people are very friendly, very happy and jovial. If you step in a restaurant, there are sometimes 3 kinds of music, and it's no problem. They enjoy it.
Mis banderas. Muchas gracias.
The Spanish language was really a problem for me. I started to learn Spanish in winter only. I was able to say what I wanted, but I was not able to understand them because they were speaking fast and in dialects.
Y tú tienes todos bicicleta, trabajero.
Discreto también.
Allá está el testigo. 8 es.
¿De dónde se va?
Yo soy de Eslovaquia, de Europa.
¿Se va para Puno?
Y tú Puno. Yo vamos aquí con mis bicicletas desde Alaska.
Ahí está, Alaska. Qué bien.
Ok.
Gracias.
¡A la huelga!
Gracias, muchas.
The roadblocks in Peru was really a problem. There was a civil war when I crossed Peru. They stopped me many times. In some places, they offered me a meal or a beer. In some places, they wanted to have a little money. But it happened that the guarders on the roadblocks, some of them almost fight each other because me. Finally, the Slovak passport helped me a lot.
Buenos días. Buen apetito. No, yo no soy gringo. Yo soy de Eslovaquia. No gringo. Czechoslovaquia.
Sí.
Czechoslovaquia.
Gustavo.
Gustavo es mi nombre.
Adelante.
Gracias mucho.
When I travel, I let my beard grow a little bit longer. It's more practical and makes me a little bit older. This gains me more respect, especially when I tell from where I am coming and where I'm going. I was very afraid of Mexico. Many of my friends warned me that Mexico is a dangerous country. Yes, of course, there are many dangerous places, but after time one can learn how to manage. I mean that Mexico was the most friendly country for me. The people were greeting me when I was talking with them, so they were immediately ready to help me. Also, the food in Mexico was very good. On the roadside, I was able to purchase fruits for 50 cents on 3 days, and the fruits were a different quality, not fruits like I buy at home in the supermarket. In San Felipe Beach in Baja California, I experienced the hurricane. I was staying about 4 days in a little hotel when it was very seriously raining. This time I didn't know that's Hurricane Kai. When I was continuing the road, I had seen the really destroyed roads and everything because the hurricane was really strong. In Mexico, I stopped in Maruata, in a beautiful place. When I was sleeping in the hotel, everything started to shake. It was first time in my life when I really survived an earthquake. I looked outside, what is going on? If local people are panicking. They weren't, they used to it. Earthquakes are very frequent over there. I complete my trip alone just on the bike, except of one 10-kilometer section in Panama, where there were really very hard road and time conditions. So I was very happy when a military pickup stopped and carried me with my bike to the port because I had to catch the boat during the Darien Gap. Many people told me that I will be eaten by bear in Alaska, but it was finally no problem.
Maco, ahoj. Tak čo?
I was frequently very close, maybe 5 meters from a bear. I tried to talk to the bear, but he didn't understand my language.
Buenos días. Slovakia, Europa.
People are different around the world, but if you are focusing on their positive side, they start to be really friendly and ready to help you.
Idem do kuchyně.
I never knew where I will sleep this night. I started every day and I had no idea where I will stop. It was very frequently raining in the Equator region, but it was no problem. It never happened that I had to be standing under the rain on the roadside or somewhere. I always saw the situation.
What is it? Motorcycle. No, so slow. What is it? It's a bike. Go on. It's a bike. Yes, it is a bike. Oi!
In Alaska, I had to ride my bike to north to talk when I entered the Alaska Highway. Then I was following Alaska Highway about 2,000 kilometers to British Columbia in Canada.
Yesterday I had to stop maybe for 50 minutes to wait because ahead of me was really raining.
In Alberta, I turned to west to the Canadian Rockies. Then I went down and crossed the United States via Montana, Utah and Arizona. In Arizona, I entered to a territory where was really very high temperature. So I decided to start my day rides very early morning. Even then it was 35 degrees Celsius, and about 8:30 the temperature grew up and 42, 43 Celsius degrees. It was really very hard physically, and I was afraid of my health. So I was drinking a lot to liquefy my blood and stayed healthy. In Yuma, I crossed the Mexican border. There were also very high temperature in Baja California. I had to stop about at 8 and wait all day long in a shade somewhere. Finally, at the very late afternoon, when the temperature fell down, I started again to make some more 15 or 20 kilometers.
Vybrala sa na istú smrť. Tak poď pekne, poď.
The Central America was about the rain. About 3 months it was raining every day. Usually the rain started at 11, so when I started at 5 o'clock in the morning, so at 11 I was nearly end of my day trip. In Ecuador, I was expecting a really high temperatures, but it was really cold. So I was really surprised. But it was caused because the very high altitude. I was riding my bike about 3,000 meters above sea level. In Peru, I was riding down about 2,200 kilometers on the West Pacific coast. The wind was blowing against of me from the ocean, and it was really hard. There was taking sand opposite, and there was everywhere too much rubbish. It was unpleasant. I don't feel very well. It's changed when I turned my direction to the east and I climbed up to the mountains. I had to cross a pass in the heights of about 4,528 meters. Then I followed the Altiplano about 1,000 kilometers, especially in Bolivia. There were very nice landscape. I was so happy. In Argentina, there were different wind conditions and many gravel roads, and the gravel was in a very bad condition, so my wheels were floating in the gravel and sand. In Chile, there were more pleasant conditions, but the road, especially on Carretera Austral, was really hard. Many gravel sections were interrupted with ferries, and there was very high humidity, and were many times raining, and I was really wet, and I was cold. My final destination was in Ushuaia, which is the southernmost accessible place by road. The final feeling is fantastical. My God, how nicely I did this trip. Without serious problems. My health was okay. I have really no serious issue with my bike. So fantastic. When I came home, I applied for a Guinness World Record. I tried the category, the longest e-bike ride without support. One even older American e-biker who get the Guinness record from Alaska, but only to Panama with a lightweight e-bike. His family was following him with an RV card, so he had every evening a place where to sleep and what to eat. My trip was twice as long and a bit more adventurous because in mornings I didn't know where I am going to end up in the evenings and where I will sleep. This trip increased my self-respect. I realized that even after 70, I have enough mental and physical strength to do really big things. This trip also changed my relation to my family. I realized that they were really suffering during my stay away. The main message from my trip is not only for young, but especially for older people, that also after 70 it's possible to do really huge things, that everything is lying in the mind.